Hello everyone. Today I'll be presenting how our warehouse management solution does the allocation process of stock to sales order and how you can pick the sales order with the allocated stock from the batch point of view and from the bin location point of view as well. So the first things first, so we have a pick pack manager module. User can click on the pick pack manager module where all the allocations happen from the sales order, from a transfer order, from a replenishment order or a shipment order or a picking order. So a user can select due date, they can search for the order. The order is listed up with the customer. You can then select the order and then choose the release by dock operation in our warehouse management, which will then bring the allocation screen in the warehouse management. So in the allocation screen, you can see there are a couple of items for the sales order that can be released with a quantity of 3. So you can choose a line by clicking on the radio button. It will then bring up the allocation detail screen from where you can see the total quantity required is 3. You can see at the top the total quantity allocated is 3 by default and the remaining quantity is 0, which is the quantity remaining to be allocated. In this allocation detail screen, you can see this stock has been allocated from this bin, the top one, with allocated quantity of 3. There are different options you can choose as a user. For example, if I choose bin quantity with less quantity on hand and I tell the system to calculate allocation, then it will choose the bin quantity with the bins with the less quantity on hand and will then divide the allocations accordingly. Similarly, we have a custom rule that can be done based on business requirements. We have different rules for bin code ordering as well. We do the calculate allocation and it will do the allocation based on the bin code ordering. In this case, you can do manual allocations as well. So for example, if I want to allocate 1 from this bin and then 2 from this bin, you can just type in the number and that's as simple as it will do the allocation. Okay, so I'll change my allocation with the bin quantity, most quantity on hand, and I do calculate allocation and the allocation changes again. And you can see the counter at the top gives you a great view of what the sum of the allocation is for that particular line. So this is one example, and also another example is you can choose the next item when you're ready to allocate the next line for that sales order. It will bring up the allocation screen. So the second item is a batch item, where I wanted to show you how you can do batch allocation. By default, it has allocated this batch from this bin with allocation 2, and it has then taken 1 from this batch with this bin as well, since the quantity has run out. The default principle it has chosen is first expired, first out, but it can choose any defaults based on the system configuration. You can choose bin code means most quantity on hand, calculate the allocation. You can see the allocation changes at the top. Similarly, you can do bin code with less quantity on hand, bin code ordering, and custom logics as well. There is a pre-allocate option where if there is a pre-allocation coming from the ERP, we can then read the ERP data and it can pre-allocate in the WMS. With this one, I'll go with the first expired, first out and calculate allocation, and it does it from the 2 bins, same batch. The counter is again displayed at the top, and once the allocation is complete, I just close the window. You can see the lines are highlighted in green, which indicates that those lines are allocated, and then you can save allocation in release. So once the save allocation and release is completed, user will go to sales and picking, and the pickers will then see the picks coming up in the pick order screen, where the user can then go inside the pick by clicking on the pick ID. Once that picks line screen loads, you can see the screen loads up with the item details, with the release quantity that was allocated, and from the bin locations that was allocated from the allocation screen. So the user knows what bin to pick the item from. And further, if you click the item or scan the item, it will then tell you what batch has been allocated from that bin as well, with the pre-allocation quantity displayed on the warehouse management, and also giving you an indication that these batches were allocated from the warehouse management and the user can go ahead and pick that batch. So I pick 2 of this batch, and then the next allocated batch is this from this bin, and I pick 1 of this batch as well. Similarly, you can see it takes me to the next item on the list, and I can pick 3 from this bin because it was allocated from this bin as well. And once the picking is complete, We have an audit screen in the warehouse management, which gives you a great view of what the user has done. And then you can complete the transaction and the pick will be completed. It will update the ERP with the required pick quantities and take it out of stock and create the shipment. Yep, so this is how the allocation is done in the warehouse management. There are different rules you can plug in, different business requirements we can address. But again, we do support first expired, first out, first in, first out. So this is like a flexible allocation we have in the warehouse management where you can guide the pickers to then pick the stock from the allocated bin and the batch. Thank you.